Hi everyone, thanks for joining. Today we're talking about Anjaneyasana, also known as low lunge or low crescent lunge. This pose is a great hip opening pose as it focuses on lengthening the muscles at the front of the hip joint. So those are the muscles that come up the thigh, cross over the hip, and attach to the low back. So not only will it open the hip, but it will lengthen the quadriceps, the front of the thigh, as well as alleviate discomfort in the low back. Because the back knee stays down on the mat, this is a fairly low impact pose. I teach this pose in every single beginner class. However, you can progress this pose to become more heart opening by changing the position of the torso. So we're going to go through all the different variations of this pose, as well as bring in a few props to modify the pose. So let's start with a couple of yoga blocks at the top of our mat. And I also grabbed a blanket just in case. So we're going to use this later and I'm going to show you an option. In this pose, something we want to be mindful of is actually shifting the hips forward. Students often have a tendency to keep the hips over the back knee, which probably feels more stable. This pose though, we want to shift the hips forward, getting a deeper stretch into the hip flexors. So I'm going to shift my knee back. Notice that my hips are now past my back knee. My front knee is now past my ankle. That's really the position that we're going for in the lower body. So from this forward fold, I'm going to step my left foot back and then lower the knee to the mat. So notice my toes are tucked under right now. You have an option here to either keep the toes tucked under, or you can untuck the toes. This is completely dependent on what feels best for your body. Because the back knee is down, we start to shift our weight forward, bringing the front knee past the ankle joint. So the hips are pushing forward. The heart is lifting. So we want our heart, our sternum, to be facing the front of the room. We're also going to notice our shoulders. So our shoulders and our collarbones start to spread to the edges of the room, opening the chest. From here, we can either plant our palms, keeping our heart open. We can come up to our fingertips. So these are two options here, keeping the lunge fairly low. We also, at this point, can add in blocks. So taking yoga blocks underneath the hands, underneath the shoulders, we can build the floor up, lifting the heart, allowing a little more space. In this low lunge pose, with the hips pushing forward, the heart lifting, the rib cage is also lifting away from the hips. So there's this lengthening of the upper body. Where I'm feeling this stretch most is in the front of the left thigh, those hip flexors. An option here, if you want to progress this pose a little bit further, is to bring your hands to your thigh. So you notice that my heart is lifting even more, my body is lengthening, I'm still spreading my collarbones, and the hips are still pushing forward. Everything in the core is tightening, pulling into the midline, creating stability. I'm going to release my shoulders away from my ears. So we're letting the shoulder blades drop down the back. From here, to progress this pose even further, I'm going to inhale my hands overhead. So again, I'm going to reach high, but then pull the shoulders down the back. I'm going to bring my attention to my pinkies and start to bring them slightly into the midline. From this point, if you're noticing any shoulder discomfort, you can release your hands to heart center. Still, the heart is facing forward and the rib cage is still lifting higher. So our last progression of this pose is to release the hands behind the back, interlacing the fingers, Hands reach towards the floor. Chest is going to lift higher. So we are stretching through the shoulders and the chest in a different way. Now notice my chin is slightly tucked, protecting the back of the neck. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side, but I'm going to come into it from downward facing dog so you can see the difference. From downward facing dog, we're going to inhale left leg high, bend the knee, shift the weight forward, stepping left foot up between the hands. Lower to the back knee, tuck or untuck the back toes. Shifting the weight forward, front knee comes past the ankle. So again, we can plant our palms on the mat, reaching the heart forward, spreading the collarbones, the shoulders to the edge of the room. We can come up to our fingertips. This is giving me a little more openness in my chest. I can bring my hands up to yoga blocks, bringing them underneath the shoulders, reaching the heart forward, lifting the rib cage away from the pelvis. I can bring my hands to my thigh. Again, creating a little more openness in the upper body. Everything in my core is hugging into the midline, creating stability. Heart lifts higher, rib cage lifts, shoulders relax. Progress it a little further by inhaling my hands overhead. Reaching the fingers high, soften the shoulders. Now with your hands overhead, you might notice it's hard to relax the shoulders. So you can make your hands a little bit wider if it helps bring the shoulder blades down the back. Pinkies rotate just slightly into the midline. Any shoulder discomfort, hands come right to heart center. So this is always an option for any pose that your hands are over your head. Last option is releasing the hands behind the back. Interlacing the fingers, hands reach to the floor, chest is lifting higher, shoulders out to the edges of the room, chin is slightly tucking. Okay, so here's another prop that you can use. If you have bad knees, knee discomfort, you can take a folded blanket and place it on your mat and use that to pad the back knee. So for example, you're patting that back knee, taking a little pressure off the knee joint. Let's put that pose in a flow. Starting in mountain pose at the top of your mat, we're going to inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, release as you step the right foot back, lowering to the back knee. Tuck or untuck the back toes. Shift your weight forward. Inhale, hands come to the thigh. They can stay low on blocks, or if you prefer, inhale the hands overhead. As you exhale, hands frame the front foot. Tuck the back toes under. Shift the weight back, coming into half split. Toes pull towards the body. Here we can bring blocks underneath the hands if you'd like. Heart is reaching forward. We're lengthening the back of the left leg. Walk the hands forward to frame the front foot. Right palm plants. Inhale, left hand high, twisted low lunge. We want to make sure that our front knee is pulling into the midline. Exhale, hands frame the front foot. Lift off the back knee, step back to your plank asana. Lower knees, chest and chin. Inhale, pull through for baby cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale, Inhale, right leg high, bend that knee, step the foot up between the hands. Now if you get stuck here, you're going to lower to the back knee. With your hand, bring the foot forward. Tuck or untuck the back toes. Shift the weight forward. Inhale, hands come to your thigh. You have the option to bring your hands overhead, to heart center, keep them low on the blocks, whatever feels best for your body. On an exhale, hands frame the front foot. Tuck the back toes under, start to shift the weight back, coming into half split. Toes pull towards the body, heart reaches forward. Walk the hands forward, framing the front foot. Left palm plants. Inhale, right hand high. Twisted low lunge. Hugging the front knee into the midline. Exhale, hands frame the front foot. Lift off the back knee. Step back to Planchasana. You can go through another flow or press right back to your down dog. Or maybe come down and take a child's pose. Thanks for joining me today. Check back soon for my next video. Have a great day.